The streets of Sabrina wore somber looks that afternoon. The sun rode roughshod over the clear skies. Mercifully, a rustling wind blew steadily, taking the sting off the hot day. You could tell something was not right. People were milling down the sidewalks on both sides of the road. They chose to trek to their destinations, not by choice, but because they couldn't afford the transport fare. There were no queues in the filling stations, as only a few persons could afford to keep their cars on the road, with the price of fuel having hit the rooftop following the indiscretion of the new president, who announced the removal of subsidy as he was being sworn in. It had been a little over a year, and things now appeared to have spiraled out of hand. Many swore they had never seen Amizana so shattered and depressed by pain and suffering. The people had since reached the breaking point, and they were ready too weak to fight for a change. Comrade J.D. Punjalo finally came out of the courtroom at 2 p.m. and he felt the biting pangs of hunger. He had managed a cup of tea and a few slices of bread for breakfast. Now all he wanted to do was get something to snack on. He got into the car and drove down the road, hoping to see some roadside corn or roast plantain seller. He had barely made it into the major road when the blistering noise of siren suddenly attacked the peace of the day. Soon, Comrade Punjalo saw a long motorcade being the convoy of the new president, Chief Bawo Ajaja. The escort security vehicles brutally ran motorists out of the road as over 50 cars raced by. Some area boys who happened to be standing by the roadside shouted at the top of their voices, "Ajaja, ebim pawao," translated to mean, "Ajaja, we are hungry, oh." It was an understatement to say hunger was ravaging the land. The prices of commodities having gone off the roof by over 500% since the coming of Chief Bawo Ajaja. Comrade J.D. Punjalo cursed under his breath as he managed to swerve out of the road before the rampaging security escorts rammed into him. He shook with impotent anger as the recurring feeling of helplessness swept over him yet again. He drove on, now feeling sharper pangs of hunger. Just a few hundred meters away, he saw a roadside corn seller and then stopped. "How much, madam?" 200 zana, said the middle-aged woman. "What?" Comrade Punjalo expressed shock. That was what he usually paid for the price of 4. "Take 2 for 300 zana." He had no time to wonder anymore. Comrade Punjalo paid for the 2 corns and returned to the car. He sat for a moment chewing the corn. Even as he pondered the state of the nation, he reached for the pet bottle of water in his bag and drank a little before driving on. Just ahead, in front of a flourishing roadside market, the traffic slowed down. Then came echoing voices, and he could see a small crowd gathered around a woman lying on the ground. Some people were trying so hard to resuscitate her. She had fainted in the heat of the day. Punjalo's curiosity got the better of him as the woman jerked back to life. He swerved out of the road and parked his car. Someone recognized him as a lawyer by his dressing and shouted loudly, "Lawyer! You lawyers should do something, oh! The suffering is getting too much. No day passes without someone fainting in this market because of hunger." Comrade J.D. Punjalo stood by, watching, just as someone began giving her water to drink. "Let's get something for her to eat," a man suggested, rushing off to get pap drink and akara, bean cakes. It was soon revealed that the woman hadn't eaten for 2 days and had only come to the market to buy some raw rice and some stew making ingredients. But her money could hardly buy what she wanted. The thought of her starving 3 kids made her faint. Soon enough, people began to drop coins and notes in front of her. Comrade Punjalo dropped a 500 zana note and began walking away, trying so hard to fight off tears. "Stop it!" he shouted at himself. He was no man to easily give over to tears, and it surprised him that he was reacting that way. But he was really on fire with bitter thoughts. Why are we so laid back? and have chosen to embrace this needless suffering imposed on us by people who have no clue, absolutely, as to how to govern a nation like ours.